Amen. Bruchim Abayim. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
This is our second shiur this year on Parashat Naso. We had one last week before Shavuot, and now we have one tonight. Big zechut to learn this. It's the longest parasha in the whole Torah. The longest, except for other parashot that are double. But single parasha, this is the longest, 176 psukim. But I want to come back to talk about something that we spoke about last time, which is the story of the sotah. But I want to talk about the procedure that the Kohen had to do with the sotah. I want to focus on some of the halachot and talk about why they're there. This is really a discussion from the Or HaChaim HaKadosh. First of all, before we begin, we'd like to learn for the Refuah Shlema of Kol Cholei Yisrael, especially for Shmuel Moshe ben Pnina and for Shed ben Roach ben Shoshana Rabbi Baruch ben Zivya. What? Ayub ben Rachel. Any other names, gentlemen? Chaim Yosef ben Abraham ben Chana. And Kol Cholei Yisrael. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome. So Hashem should give them all a speedy recovery b'toch shar Cholei Yisrael very quickly. Amen. Okay, so let's begin. So let's talk about the different steps of this woman. Again, we're dealing here with a lady that unfortunately brought a lot of suspicion onto herself by going ahead and being secluded, right? She was secluded with a man who was not her husband. Her husband initially warned her. He said to her in front of witnesses, according to some, don't be alone with this man. She was alone with that man. And then witnesses came and they said, listen, we didn't see anything, but we know she was in a locked room with this guy. Now there's a whole story that happens. First of all, she can no longer be with her husband until we find out whether or not something happened in that room, yes or no. We don't know. We have to find out. How do we find out? We have the procedure. The procedure is that she now has to go to the Beit HaMikdash and she has to drink the waters of the sotah. But before she drinks the waters of the sotah, she has to bring an offering of barley. It's a korban. It's called minchat sotah. The sotah mincha, the offering of the sotah, which is an offering of barley. So we have to understand what's the purpose of the barley offering. What is the idea of this? And the Torah calls it minchat zikaron mazkeret avon, which is a very interesting name. Minchat zikaron means it's an offering of remembrance. Welcome. Minchat zikaron, it's an offering of remembering. Mazkeret avon, it reminds us of the sin. It's a very interesting title to the korban. You understand? Imagine we say the name of your korban. This is a barley offering. You have to go get barley. You're going to have to lift it up, wave it in different directions. And this is the offering of barley, minchat zikaron. It's an offering of remembrance. Mazkeret avon. It reminds us of a sin. The question is, what are we talking about? What sin are we talking about? What does it mean? It's an offering of remembrance. That's something that we're going to have to understand. Then, after the barley offering, so then the procedure is that if they ask her, are you sure you want to do this? They curse her. They say to her, listen, if you go ahead and you are guilty, then this is going to bring about the person's death, chas v'chalila. So, you sure you want to do it? You could say no, and then you won't have to suffer that terrible, crazy death. You could say no right now. You'll go home. You unfortunately have to leave your husband. You won't get a ketubah, but you'll live. So don't play games here. No shame. Just go. I mean, it is obviously very shameful, but they're trying to tell her, might as well not die for this.
They can do that.
They tell her, listen, if you say
somebody really does something like that to the husband, they can release her.
Yes, if she says, I don't want to drink. Eini shota, I'm not drinking. So then, yes, then she says, I'm not drinking. They say, no problem. Go. All the best to you. goodbye. She has to divorce her husband because why isn't she drinking? Because she did the deed. Hashem Yishmor. So that means she can no longer be with her husband. So she has the choice. By the way, it's an interesting thing. It says the Kohen has to read to her this whole thing about, if you did this and that, then this curse is going to come onto you. Hashem Yishmor. So there's a question that the poskim talk about, which is what happens if, God forbid, the woman, the Kohen that is doing the service, the Kohen has a big job to do over here. He has to uncover her hair. It says he even opens up her clothing a little bit up until over here, so that she's very embarrassed about her whole situation. It's very weird, the whole thing. That's what it says, that in front of everybody, they untie her hair. Let's say she's got a big snoot, she's got a big tichel, head covering, a sheitel. Ufara Kohen. The Kohen has to uncover her hair in front of everybody. No. This is part of the procedure. She has to go through this very embarrassing thing.
I know, but let's say she said, I'm going to drink.
Yeah.
And nothing happened to him. Well,
yeah.
But she didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
But when they uncover her hair.
But you have to understand, she already. That's true, but you have to understand there is something wrong. We spoke about this. There is something wrong that she did. The fact that her husband warned her is, don't be alone with this man. He had witnesses. You see, I told her, don't be alone. And then she went and she was alone with that man. Now, it turns out the whole time they were playing chess, right? So, but that's not appropriate. So she has to get that. That's that's not okay to do that. Anyway, fine. So
I heard it only works if also, let's say the lady has Shalom, she did this.
Yeah, but if her husband also,
if the husband has to be pure,
correct. If the husband is not pure, then the waters will not check her. Correct. So that means she could technically get away with it. It's true. As a matter of fact, the Gemara talks about a lot of different things. For example, the Gemara says that let's say she has some zechut of Torah. For example, let's say that she encouraged her husband to go to learn. She sends her children to yeshiva. I mean, the Gemara actually talks about even more that she herself learns something. That she herself learns Tanakh, or she learns something. She has Torah knowledge. The Gemara says that could actually delay the curse from coming. It could push it off. So that means that, let's say that it was supposed to happen to her, unfortunately, it happens a month later. Why? Because when a person learns Torah, it protects him. So she has Torah learning, it protects her. By the way, that's an important thing to remember, that Torah learning always is a protection for a person. It says, agune magna, that the learning of Torah protects the person's life. Very important to know that. Yeah.
What happened to the kids? As for sure, they have kids.
So it's a very interesting thing. So the question that I saw the poskim talk about, listen to this question, that the Kohen who is the one who is selected to do this job, you should know, in the Beit Mikdash, most of the jobs that they did were selected by lottery, which means you had, let's say, 20 people that are Kohanim that are able to do a particular job. So what happens is one fellow, he takes off his hat like this, and then what happens is that the guy in the middle says, okay, announce a number. They say 35. So then he starts, so the first job, let's say, is removing the ashes from the Mizbeach. So then each Kohen sticks out a finger or two fingers, and then the guy in the middle starts going around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, until he gets to 35. Whoever 35 is, that's the guy that does the first job, right? So a lot of the things that they would do in Beit HaMikdash is the job. Now, what happens in the following situation? This is, by the way, I'm totally going off topic, but what happens in the case where the guy who it lands on him, okay, there's a sotah here today, guys. Who's going to do the job of sotah? It lands on a certain guy, okay? So the Kohen goes, he's about to do the job of sotah, of taking care of the sotah and bringing her offering and giving her the water and all that stuff. And lo and behold, as he approaches the area where the sotah is, Hashem Yishmor v'Yatzil, he sees it's his mother.
What?
Hashem Yishmor. What happens in that case? What?
What?
Or a relative. It was his. In other words, the sotah that he has to take care of right now is his own mom. Hashem Yishmor. He sees his own mother showing up. So what do you do in that case? the poskim say that in such a case, there's a whole big discussion about it, but some say unequivocally, the Maharsham writes that there's no question that he's not allowed to do it for his mom. And one simple reason, the Kohen has to give a curse to the woman and say, look, if this happens, if you did this, then this curse will come onto you. And so it says, he's not allowed to curse his mom or his dad. But the question did come up. So the poskim asked, well, how could he even know? Why didn't he see his father? He would know already. He shouldn't even be in the lottery to begin with. He would see his father brought her. Well, it could be, unfortunately, the parents were divorced and she got remarried to some other guy. And he didn't really know who that person was. Anyway, the point is that it's a very crazy situation, which obviously will probably almost never happen. Be it as it may, he has to give her this entire long journey up the hill, and then he takes water and from the kior. The kior is the vessel that the water would come out of for the kohanim to wash their hands. He takes water from the kior. He takes dirt from the ground of the Bet HaMikdash, puts it into the water. He takes the parasha of the sotah, writes it all out. He erases it. It has Hashem's name in it. He puts that into the glass and he gives it to her to drink. Okay, that's the procedure. Now, yes.
When she drinks it, and if she's guilty, what happens to the guy that they did the sin together?
He also explodes. Yep. He also explodes. It's not just her. It takes two to tango, and that guy also, no matter where he is, will find himself in the same situation. Hashem Yishmor. So the Orach Chaim HaKadosh over here, this really what I'm about to go through with you, is really a piece, a beautiful, beautiful piece from Rabbi Chaim ben Atar, Zecher to the Givachah, the Orach Chaim HaKadosh. And he over here has a lot of questions, and the answer that he gives is beautiful. And I want to share it with you. He says the following. He says, first question. So we mentioned this. Why is the name of her offering Minchat Zikaron Mazkeret Avon? Why is it a remembrance, an offering of remembrance, and it causes you to remember the sin? What sin? What remembrance? What are we talking about? That's number one. You hear the question?
No.
No? Again, one more time. The question is, it's the Torah says that when she offers up an offering of barley, this woman who's a suspected adulteress. Well, of course, sure. Stay over in Orach Chaim. Welcome. Beautiful. Have some sushi. Yeah. So it says that the name of this title of this korban of her barley offering, Minchat Zikaron Mazkeret Avon. It's a mincha. It's an offering, a barley offering of remembrance. Mazkeret, it reminds you of Avon, of the sin. What does that mean? What is that talking about? That's number one. Number two, it says that the water that he puts into the vessel is called Mayim Kedoshim. Okay? It says that he has to take Mayim Kedoshim, holy water, and put it into the vessel. What is Mayim Kedoshim? So Rashi says it means that it comes from the kior. Kior is the vessel that the kohanim use to wash their hands and their feet before they start the avodah. But what does it mean, holy water? Mayim Kedoshim. An interesting term. He has to take holy water. You know, a lot of times in Israel, unfortunately, nowadays, you have these people that they pose as holy people, imposters, unfortunately, that say that they know the Kabbalah and this and that. Then they bless the water. They give you a bottle of water for $500. Holy water, Mayim Kedoshim.
Only Madonna buy that one.
Exactly.
Only Madonna.
Right. So what is this Mayim Kedoshim? Right. So Rashi says it means that it came from the kior. Okay, but the Orach Chaim HaKadosh had more to say about it. So we'll see shortly what that means. Now, the question is, why do we need to know what water he's giving her? He says by the Chet HaEgel, if you remember, by the sin of the golden calf. So what does it say over there? It says that when Moshe Rabbeinu saw what they were doing, that they were worshiping the golden calf, it says that what happened was He took the golden calf, he destroyed it, he pounded it into powder, and then he went ahead and he gave everybody to drink from that water, from the gold that was from the golden calf. He pounded it into a powder and he put it into them and he gave them to drink.
For what?
What? Because it was like, so the Parashim say it's like the sotah, because they committed adultery, so to say. Hashem just gave you the Torah 2 minutes ago, and now you make a golden calf. So says the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, we understand why we need to know. Over there, the idea is that the very item that you're using to do the Avirah is now coming back at you to take revenge. So whoever did the fet was in trouble. But why do we need to know over here, says the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, that this is the water that it was needed for in order to check her? That's another question. Number 3, the Or HaChaim HaKadosh says is over here very important. He says the halacha is that when you go and you take the dirt from Bet HaMikdash, so you're not supposed to dig it from underneath the Bet HaMikdash. It's supposed to be available on the surface, right there. Why is that? Why is it that the dirt that you're taking from the Bet HaMikdash has to be available on the surface? There's apparently one spot in the Bet HaMikdash that they did not have a floor. It was set for that particular purpose. They could just go and easily access dirt. So if there's ever a sotah, they grab the dirt and they put it in the water. Why is that? Why can't you dig from underneath? That's another question that the Or HaChaim HaKadosh asks. It has to be the dirt that's on the top of the Bet HaMikdash. Clear? Okay, that's question number 3. Also, the halacha is that if you put the dirt into the water, if you put the dirt in first and then pour the water onto the dirt, it's not kosher. It's not good. You have to have the water in there first and then you put the dirt. Right? What's the idea behind that? Okay, so that's another important thing. Now, when the Torah talks about this water, it calls it a very interesting name. In the beginning, welcome. In the beginning, it was Maim Kedoshim, right? It was holy water. Now that they made it into a mixture and they took the Parashat of the Sotah, they wrote it, erased Hashem's name, put it into the water. Now it's called Mei Hamarim, which means water that's bitter water. Why is it called bitter water, right? See, it could be it's going to end up being bitter for this woman, right? But it's called bitter water, right? So some say it means you need to put something bitter into it. You have to mix it in something that's bitter. But the name is called Mei Hamarim, the bitter water. Right now, it's bitter. Why is it called bitter? Okay, that's another very good question he asks. And now he goes on to explain. The Or HaChaim HaKadosh explains something very, very important. And he says like this. He says every single thing that Hashem created in the world, and everything, whether it's dirt, whether it's trees, water, everything, whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu put into this world, has in it a desire to be close to Hashem. It has a desire to connect with Hashem, to be close, to be elevated, to be on a high spiritual level. It doesn't want to be far from Hashem. The Or HaChaim HaKadosh brings down from the Zohar that, as you know, when Hashem created the world, he created a big body of water, and he split it into 2 bodies of water, a lower body of water and a higher body of water. Right? There's the Mayim HaTachtonim and the Mayim HaElyonim. And it's brought down by the Zohar that when Hashem split the lower waters away from the upper waters, the lower waters started to cry, so to say, whatever that means. They started crying. Why did they start crying? Because they wanted to be closer to Hashem. Now they're further away. Now they're more distant. Now they're on the earth. They're physical. They are mundane. They're separated from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And they did not like that. Now, the problem is like this. The entire material world wants to be close to Hashem. So how could that be fixed? Thank you. Is that for me? Thank you so much. No sugar? Can't have it. Sorry. I need plane. Thank you so much.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. So it's brought down. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to create this world to be a dwelling place for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem wanted it to be that when He created Adam and Chava originally, He wanted them to elevate the world, which means that there's going to be a challenge with the snake, there's going to be a test, and by them doing what Hashem wanted, they will make this world into a very holy and special place, so holy that it could actually be that the whole world is a house for Hashem. Meaning that no different than the upper worlds where Hashem is so revealed and so clear and so everybody who's there, meaning all the malachim, they see HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they live HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem wanted that to be the same thing on earth as well. And it should be just as much of a house for Hashem, just like the upper worlds. That's what Hashem wanted. Now, came along Adam and Chava, and they blew it. They messed up. So when that happened, when they made their mistake, that caused Hashem to ascend back to the upper worlds. There's no longer a house for Hashem over here, right? There's no longer a way to keep HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world, so to say, because it's pushing away Hashem. When a person does an Avirah, it pushes away Hashem. Not only that, but when the person does the Avirah, Mesilat Hashem says, he brings down the whole world together with him. He brings down not just himself, he brings down the whole world, the earth around him, the dirt around him, the trees around him, everything becomes a lower level because it's not just himself, it's the whole world together with him. Now, comes along Cain and Hevel. Remember the story with Cain and Hevel. Cain went ahead and killed Hevel. What did Hashem tell Cain? He told Cain, the world is cursed because of you. Right? That now the earth had to open up its mouth and swallow the blood of your brother. So the earth got cursed because of you. So the earth was on a situation where it was able to be so close to Hashem. It was able to be a house for Hashem. But because people were doing bad things, it got cursed and was separated from Hashem. It was taken away from Hashem. So the earth knew how terrible that was and what a miss. We missed the opportunity to come close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to be a house for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We missed all of that, right? And we pushed Hashem away instead of bringing Hashem closer. That's very, very sad and very, very bitter. So now, explains the Orach Chaim HaKadosh that all changed on Shavuot. On Shavuot, it all changed. Why? Because we got the Torah all over again. We got the Torah Kedosha, and now at this point, it says that whatever filth the Nachash put into Adam and into Chava, whatever filth the Nachash put into her, stopped at Matan Torah when we got the Torah Kedosha. We had a new chance, a new opportunity. By us getting the Torah, we now have the opportunity to make this earth once again a house for Hashem. We have the Torah now. We can make this house a house for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We can make the whole world a house for Hashem. And what happened? 10 minutes it lasted. 10 minutes later, we did the Chet HaEgel. And once again, we pushed Hashem away. So we keep having these moments of opportunity and then losing them. We build the Mishkan, we build the portable Bet HaMikdash in the desert, and unfortunately then we complain about the meat, and we have problems with the spies, and we have Korach, and we have one thing after the next, and we keep on having moments of opportunity and pushing Hashem away. So instead of making the earth elevated, we make the earth cursed. Okay. That's the general idea Orach Chaim HaKadosh is teaching us. Now, says the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, Hashem said, but there should be one place on the earth where this is not an issue. There should be one place on the earth where it's totally connected to Hashem, where it's completely a house for Hashem. It doesn't matter that all other places are not like this.
It's disconnected.
But
from the-
everywhere else is disconnected. But this place should be totally connected, as if Adam and Chava never made any chayv. As if Adam and Chava never messed up. The opposite. They brought Hashem into the world, and the world is exactly what it was meant to be. There should be one place on the earth that is like that.
Wow.
And that place, Rabotai, is the Mishkan slash Bet HaMikdash. Bet HaMikdash is the place where HaKadosh Baruch Hu is fully revealed. Fully revealed. Hashem's presence there, you cannot deny it. That's why it says there were 10 miracles that happened in Bet HaMikdash on a constant basis. Always happen. Always miracles over there. You have a huge storm and the fire of the Mizbeach is not getting extinguished. Not possible. Miracles after miracles after miracles. Hashem is revealed. Why? Because it needs to be one place on the earth where the whole reason the earth was created in the first place was in order to make a house for Hashem. This is the place that's the house for Hashem, right? And you see Hashem revealed as much as a human can, right? That's the idea of Bet HaMikdash. Now explains Or HaChaim HaKadosh amazing. He says, look what happens over here. So you have this place now. Again, what did Hashem tell Cain? Right? This is the land now. Asher Arera Hashem. Right? That Hashem cursed this land. This over here, this Bet HaMikdash, the land over here is not cursed. This is not included in the rest of the world that has a curse on the land. Here, the land is not cursed. It's as if Adam and Chava never messed up. Right? So what takes place over here? First of all, says the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, that's why the water is called Mayim Kedoshim. The water of the Mishkan is called, or the Bet HaMikdash, is called holy waters. Why is it holy waters? Because over here, the waters are not divided. They're not separated from the upper waters. Over here, the waters and the land, everything over here is not cursed. So the water here is not the same water that you have somewhere else. The water here is holy. It doesn't have the same curse that you find everywhere else. Mayim Kedoshim. That's the first thing the Or HaChaim HaKadosh says. Now, addressing the other issue, why is it that you can't dig in order to get the dirt from underneath the Bet HaMikdash? Because it needs to be on the surface. The idea of the surface being that it needs to be, that it's, so to say, close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Something that the land right here doesn't have that curse. The land right here is not cursed. And therefore, we want it to be from the top, right there. Go get it. It's earth that is considered to be
the bottom,
holy.
the bottom of the curse.
No, it's not that the bottom is cursed. It's not the point. The point is that on the surface, the Or HaChaim HaKadosh says, is I guess it's like closer. I don't know exactly what he's saying. It's like closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We want it to be closer. That's what he's saying. Now, he goes on to say even more, why does it have to be that first you put in the water and then the dirt? Because it's trying to replicate the way of the original creation of the world. Because what happens is that the land, Baruch Hashem, is on top of the water. You say, Roka ha'aretz al hamayim. The land is above the water. So we, at least the livable land, right? So we, Baruch Hashem, are on top of the water. So therefore, he says, you have to put the water first, then you put the dirt on top. Again, we're trying to rebuild the world the way that it was meant to be in a state of holiness for this woman now to take it and to drink it. Why is that so important?
Where did they bring that water? They think that cure?
They had it was an interesting thing. Amen. It was a pulley system. The cure had a pulley that you would draw, you would pull it down. There was a bucket that goes down, not really a bucket, it's a whole big thing. You lower it, you bring it back up, and it's full of water. It would go down. Yes. Yes.
So this water was holy too.
Yes, because it's Bet HaMikdash. That's the whole point. Mayim Kedoshim.
Because the water came from there.
Yes, Bet HaMikdash.
So anywhere you make a water from the world, that means kadosh.
No. Because it's being brought up into the Bet HaMikdash. I think that's the point. So now like this. He goes on to say like this. You take the Parashat of the Sotah, you write it all out on the Parashat, you erase it with Hashem's name, and now you give the power to the water and to that dirt to do what they want to do. Now, what is the problem over here? Let's explain. This water and this dirt, they know what it's like to be cursed. They know what it's like to be far from Hashem. They know how bad and how bitter it feels to be separated from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And they're so happy that they were lucky enough to be in the spot of Bet HaMikdash, where now there's no more curse. Now the whole Bria, the whole creation is all elevated. It's all the way it is supposed to be. It's close to Hashem. Hashem is revealed in this location. It's all good. It's all the way it was supposed to be originally. So now there's a lady that is in their way. There's some woman that decided to bring the misery and the tum'ah into this area. They're not happy about it. They don't like that. This woman is a woman who had kiddushin, and she was a married woman, and she unfortunately betrayed her husband. It's a tremendous level of tum'ah. So you are coming now into the spot where HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, this is a location which is all Kedusha, all holiness, which is Hashem revealed. It's the location where Hashem says there's going to be one spot on the planet where there's no boundaries, there's no curses, it's all the way it was supposed to be. And this lady is walking into this place in a state of tum'ah. So now they go inside of her, this dirt that was cursed, and over here it's not cursed anymore. It wants to be close to Hashem. And this water and the rest of the world is cursed, but over here it's Mayim Kedoshim. And they go inside of her. And it says now the water becomes Mei Hamarim, the water that's bitter. Why is it so bitter? Because now it feels inside of her there's no Kedusha anymore. She lost the Kedusha. So this girl is pushing away the Shekhinah back up, just like we did by Chet HaEgel, just like we did by the spies, just like Adam and Chava did. This woman is the reason for Hashem to be being pushed away from the world. This is not a woman that we like. So when they erase the parasha of the Sotah into the water and into the dirt, and she drinks it, that gives that water and dirt the power to now take revenge from this woman. And that's why she explodes. Understand? Because this water and this dirt knows the pain and the misery of being far from Hashem. And they never want that to happen ever again. They want to be close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this lady is going to cause them to be far from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They don't like it. They say, enough with her. Boom. And she explodes. You understand? That's what the Orach Chaim HaKadosh is explaining over here. You know what he says? He says the halacha is Haba lehorgecha, hashkem lehorgo. Somebody's coming to kill you. You have the obligation to kill him first. So she's coming to kill them because she is pushing Hashem away from this world. There's one spot over here where that doesn't happen. And in this one spot, you're coming to do that? Off with you. That's why they can kill him. Amazing. So now he says, what does it mean? Minchat zikaron maskeret avon. What does it mean that you're causing Hashem to remember the chet? You're causing Hashem to remember all of those chataim originally that had pushed Hashem away. When Cain killed Hevel, Hashem said, you know what happened here? Now the whole earth is cursed because of you, Cain, because of what you did. It used to be that we had a chance to bring Hashem into this world. And because of what you did, now there is no more chance for Hashem. So this, what she's doing right now, is this mincha is to commemorate that avon. She's doing the same thing that Cain did. Got HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to say, pushing him out of this world. She's doing the same thing. But this is the reason that Hashem says we have to remember what she did over here is the same thing that he did. The truth being that really every Avira is to some degree does the same thing. You understand what he's saying? You good? You following? A little bit. You have any question?
I have a question.
Yes.
Why they do give her the water, not to him? Why is always her?
Because we don't know about him. Are you saying in this particular case,
What if they
we know who this fellow is? That's a good question. Why don't we give him the water too?
Why is
Nice.
this? Is she getting punished? And he's gonna get punished too, obviously, because it's kind of connected.
Yes,
Or-
if she indeed is guilty, then he will be punished too. That's true. Why is it that? I mean, the simple idea I think is that the kiddushin goes on the woman. In other words, the husband gives the kiddushin to the woman, and she becomes consecrated, meaning she becomes holy, unique, only to this man. A man is not ever made holy. You know what I'm saying? In other words, a wife cannot give a ring to a husband and say, "You are now holy to me," because technically a husband can have more than one wife.
Yeah.
Right? So the kiddushin element that was betrayed is on the woman's end. It's true that that guy broke that kiddushin, but it was her obligation, so to say. In other words, it was her. She was the mikudeshet. She was the one that was sanctified, and therefore, by her doing what she did, she broke that sanctity. It's true the other guy did it, meaning he was involved, but he was not the mikudash. She was the mikudeshet. You see what I'm saying?
What if he was married too? She's married. He's married.
Again,
to someone.
a husband
Same
is
thing.
never a mikudash. A husband is the one that gives the kiddushin because he could marry 15 wives, no problem.
Married,
right?
but he didn't marry her.
I'm
They have
aware.
relation.
I'm aware, but my point is that a husband never becomes sanctified. He sanctifies somebody else to him. You understand what I'm saying?
That's why they
She's the mikudeshet to that guy, to the husband, whoever. Yeah, exactly. And she committed an act of treason against him. That's the idea.
That's why they say the lady do that. They never say.
That's what
the
he's
man
asking.
do that.
Why is it the man doesn't drink? The lady is the one who drinks.
The
Why not the
lady do
man?
that,
Right. So
but
I'm
if
trying to
the-
say maybe it's because she's the
if her
mikudeshet.
husband do that,
Yeah.
they never said that because he can't take
Right.
so many.
Right. But if she was guilty, he
Yeah,
will
Hashem-
eventually get
Hashem
punished
love
as well.
me. Hashem love me.
That I didn't say.
You don't
Hashem
get-
loves all of us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Kol niyah b'dvaro.
Amen.
He
That way
expects
you
more
can
from
get
the
more
woman.
Hashem loves the
family.
man.
Right.
That's why he created the woman to take care of the man.
1 second. What time is it over here? Okay. Very good. Okay, guys, let's go a little bit more. Okay, let's go. So now we have, right afterwards, we have the parasha of the Nazir. The Nazir is one of the most interesting halachot. This is a fellow who goes ahead and takes upon himself the obligation to not drink any wine, grape juice, consume any grapes, grape skins, seeds of grapes. If let's say there was water that grapes were in, he can't drink that water. He can't put a pita into that water. We even tell the fellow, don't even show up in a vineyard. You have to walk around the vineyard, right? Walk around. Don't come near anywhere close to the vineyard.
Why especially only wine? Why wine?
Because
Why not
wine was the main drink that they had besides for water. They had water, they had wine. That's what they used to drink. So it's like a real, difficult thing for him to stay away from, I think. And anyway, so it says that he can't have any grape product, wine, anything like that. Also, he cannot go to a cemetery for anybody. He's like Kohen Gadol. He cannot go to the
Like Kohen.
cemetery. What?
Like for him.
More than Kohen, like Kohen Gadol. He can't even go for his mother, father, sister, nobody. He's totally off limits. And the question is, why is it that he has that somebody would do this? Why would somebody do this? So
Very good.
interesting thing, it says over here, first of all, before we even get there, how long is Stam Nazirut, the average term for being a Nazir? How long is it? Let's say somebody sees a Nazir and says, I want to be a Nazir too. How long does he have to be a Nazir? Minimum
7 days.
30 days.
30 days.
Yeah, you know why? It's one of the only halachot that I'm aware of that we learn from a gematria. It says Kadosh Yihyeh. Yihyeh means he will be. Yihyeh is Yud and then Hey and then Yud and then Hey. Yud is 10, Hey is 5. Yud is 10, Hey is 5. That's 30. So we learn from here he has to be at least 30 days a Nazir. Now, the interesting question that I saw a beautiful question from Rabbi Melech Biderman. He says, why is it that we learn from here about Yihyeh? Yihyeh means will be. So it's an interesting thing. He says, when a person is a Nazir, he's on a very high level. He's on the level of Kohen Gadol. But the question is, what happens when his term is over? He did 30 days, but Ma Yihyeh, what's going to be after the 30 days? Are you going to still maintain that level? Are you going to be on a high level so that's the thing. So some say that's the reason why it says that he has to bring a chatat offering. It says when he's done with his term, he has to bring a korban chatat, a sin offering. He has to bring a bunch of offerings.
When he
A
gets
sin offering.
when he Nazir, he do any avera.
Oh, so that's a good question. By being a Nazir, are you doing a sin? Right? That's a good question, right? So Rashi brings down two explanations. One explanation is the fact that he prevented himself from having wine is a sin. Because Hashem created this whole world for you to enjoy. You didn't enjoy it, you prevented it from yourself. It's considered to be a sin. Others explain, no, it's a very, very good thing that he did that. The problem is that now he's lowering his level. Now he's on a lower. He used to be the super duper tzaddik. He's like Kohen Gadol, he can't go to the cemetery, he can't become tameh for anybody. And now all of a sudden, he's finished, he's stuck, right? Right. So he's bringing his level down. So that he has to bring a sin offering, which is an interesting interpretation. So over here, the concept that the question of the Gemara in Masechet Brachot, Masechet Sotah asks the question: why are we talking about a Nazir over here? What's the idea of this? So the answer the Gemara gives is because it says Kol haro'eh sotah bekilkula. What did we just talk about? Sotah. So what did we see? The Sotah in her devastating moment, she drank and she exploded. Hashem Yishmor. Anybody who sees a Sotah in that situation has to take something upon himself. He has to do something drastic. He has to become a Nazir. Why? Because why did this woman get to this point? Usually, a lot of it has to do with people that are very loose. They become intoxicated. They drink a little bit, and then all of a sudden, Hashem Yishmor, they make this crazy mistake. So this person sees that he has to do something in the opposite. He has to take upon himself a neder. I'm not going to have any wine. What's the connection between the two? The answer is because what happens is when you see something that is so devastating, we all know it's a terrible thing to do that, and none of us ever think for a minute to do something like that that's so bad. But when you see that somebody actually did do that, even though you in your mind never plan on that, never think about that, it's not even an option at all. But the minute that you see somebody out there did do that, so now it comes one step closer to the possibilities of things you could do. You don't want to do that. You don't plan on doing that. But since somebody did, and you saw that this person died because of it, so now you know, oh, people out there, they do things like that. So now it becomes a little bit closer to your realm of options of what you might do. So it has an effect on you. So over here, the Torah is telling you, don't let it have an effect on you. Fight it. Don't let it come close to you. Knock it out immediately. Say, no wine for me. What do you mean? You have to have wine. It's an enjoyable thing. No. Not right now. Now is not the time. Now there's a little bit more Yetzer Hara coming into me because I see people do, things like that. So I have to knock out the Yetzer Hara right away. No wine, no nothing. I'm staying away from anything that could bring me even close to that. It's important to be aware.
So how can you take kiddush if you did
bread? Kiddush on bread. You can do it. It's not the best, but it's, it is what it is.
You don't see anything that we do. So this is
you guys understand? It's important to be aware that when you see Yetzer Hara coming into you, you have to do something to knock it out. And this is something that could happen. The Gemara gives a very interesting story. The Gemara says that normally there was a big tzaddik, his name was Shimon HaTzaddik. He never would eat, when at the end of the term of a Nazir, he would never eat the korban of the Nazir. He stayed away from it. Except one time, the Gemara says in Nedarim, there was this one young man that came up from the south, and he brought a korban, and Shimon HaTzadik ate it. So he explained, he says, I never used to do this, but for this guy, I did it. Why? Because he explained, I saw that this fellow had beautiful, curly, long hair. He's very handsome. And the halakha is when the Nazir finishes his term, he's got to shave everything off. So I said to him, he says, why are you doing this? You're so handsome, you're so nice. Why would you get rid of your beautiful hair like this? So he explained, he says, listen, I was watching the sheep for my father, and I came across a little pool of water, and I looked into the water, I saw my reflection, and I saw what I look like. And I saw I'm very handsome, right? So he says, Pachaz alai yitzri, my Yetzer Hara got the best of me. Now, I think the simple understanding is, he felt that since he's so handsome, he can go and do things with his beautiful good looks. So I said, Rasha, what are you doing? You're getting all excited about a world that doesn't belong to you. You're a servant of Hashem. What are you doing? So at that moment, he felt the Yetzer Hara pulling him to do things he didn't want to do. So he said, I'm going to become a Nazir. And at that moment, because he knows that a Nazir at the end of his term, he's got to shave off his whole head. So he said, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. And when this Shimon HaTzadik heard what he said, Beni kimotcha yirbu Nazirim b'Yisrael. Many more Nazirim should be like you, because you used the idea of becoming a Nazir as a tool, as something that will help you to fight against the Yetzer Hara. And that's what it's there for. It's there to fight against the Yetzer Hara. So again, unfortunately today we don't have this option for us. But back then it was something that people could use to fight against the Yetzer Hara. All right, guys, we'll stop over here. Thank you very much. Guys, there's too much sushi over here. Please go ahead and use it. Please.